All right, let's look at these last two problems. So this first one, you got to write an equation, slope-intercept form, of the line that goes through this point, -1, -2, and is parallel to the line 3x minus y equals 5. All right, so the big thing to recognize here, and what I think any teacher is looking for, is that you need to see and remember that if you have a parallel line, lines that are parallel, all right, so lines that are parallel have the same slope. Slope's exactly the same. If you write the equation of them, they're different lines because they aren't the same line, but the only thing that's really different about them is their y-intercept. So, but everything else is the same, right? They both have a y and an x, same multipliers, and the slope is the same. So what is the easiest way to go about this problem is to find the slope and then use what we know how to do to solve this equation. So the hard part about this is the slope isn't just given to us in the equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to hopefully recognize that this is in standard form, all right? And unlike the last problem where we had to write an equation that was in slope-intercept form into standard form, we're going to write this one, or I think it might have been in point slope. We're going to write this one from standard into slope-intercept form. So we're going to go the other way. And the big thing about writing things in slope-intercept form is if you look at this, right, y equals mx plus b, this is my slope-intercept form, right, is that basically if you solve for y, it will wind up in this form. It will put the x term and your constant on the other side, and that's how it works. So pretty much just solve for y. Solve for y. Okay, so let's do that. So if you have 3x, if this thing would work correctly, that'd be wonderful. 3x minus y equals 5. We're going to solve for y by moving 3x. I'm going to do this horizontally. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. All right, and then what happens is these cancel. You're left with negative y is equal to, and now let's switch the negative 3x and the 5 around. You always want your x on the, kind of on the left side because that's what we're used to seeing, just like how the slope is over here, the slope in the x term. Now we will hopefully recognize that we're almost there. The only problem is our coefficient on the y has to be positive 1. All right, and right now it's negative 1. So the easiest way to fix this, okay, is in this is the one case where we can multiply by just a seemingly random number, but it's not, and it will get us where we want to go. And that number is negative 1. And the reason for this is it will change the term on every one of these. It'll change the sign by taking the opposite of it. So negative 1 times negative 5, or y, is y. Negative 1 times negative 3x is positive 3x, and negative 1 times positive 5 is negative 5. So it takes every term and finds the opposite of it. That's what, and if you think about it, that makes sense because that's what a negative sign does. So y equals 3x minus 5. We now have this in slope-intercept form, and we know from our previous learnings and findings that that's always our slope, and this is my y-intercept right here, right? Slope and y-intercept. So I now know my slope. So my slope is right there. That's my slope. So if it's a parallel line, right, now we want to write this equation of this other line. I now know the slope. So what I'm going to do is what I've done all the way up to this point where I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to use this y equals mx plus b and plug in what I know. All right, and so again, if we do the color code thing, which I think is a good way to do it, this is my x term. My x term is going to go right there. pick something fun for y, so we'll pick that. That's my y term. And then m, traditionally I've been using red, so that's m, and then we already have m highlighted over here. All right, so it's just a matter of just plugging those things in. And I wrote this incorrectly. You guys got to tell me this stuff. It's y equals mx plus b. All right, we're going to plug this stuff in, and then we're going to solve for b. All right, so y is -2, m is 3, and x is -1. And I'm just pulling this from how I color-coded it and off the information they give me. And then plus b. And so all I got to do is just solve for b. So 3 times -1 is -3 plus b. We will add 3 to both sides. And then you will see that b, if I go 2 and -3, b is equal to 1. All right, so now I've got m, which is 3, and I've got b, which is 1. So it's just a matter of plugging it into the equation once again, just so that we know what it looks like. So let's plug those in. All right, I'm going to highlight this too because we always say that this is yellow. So my y-intercept is 1, so you have y equals 3x plus 1. So you can see that this finished equation looks a lot like this one right here. Same slope, but different y-intercepts. This one is translated up 6 units, right? But other than that, it's the same line, right? If you were walking up both hills, if you could represent them, they would feel the same to you. So there you go. I hope that was helpful. So let's do this last one now where we're talking about perpendicular lines. So the thing with perpendicular lines is we're going to do almost the same exact process we did on the previous problem, but with perpendicular lines, all right, the big difference is your slopes, they're not the same. They are opposite reciprocals. Opposite I'll just leave that as that. Right? They're opposite reciprocals. So in 8th grade speak, all right, which is what I teach algebra to, in 8th grade speak, that means you flip the slope, right? And then you change the sign. So if it's, supposing it was 1/2, right? You would flip it, right? So flip this thing around, and you get 2/1, and then you would make it -2/1, which is -2. All right, so that's how you get from this to this. That's your process. All right, so let's try with this one. So what we know, all right, we know it goes through this point right here, and we know it's perpendicular to this line right here. So let's find the slope from this line. And what's nice about this one is it's already written in slope-intercept form, so I don't have to screw around with that. So I've got that right there. There's my slope. So that's the slope of this line. So I know that because of this, perpendicular lines, the slopes are opposite reciprocals. So we're going to go from -1/4. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip it. All right? So let's flip it. So that gives me -4/1. All right? And then we're going to change the sign. All right? So if you change the sign from -4/1, it's +4/1. So it's 4/1. And then just simplify it. And so my slope is 4. So now let's take this, because this is our new slope. All right? So let's highlight that. And we'll say that this is our new slope. All right? We're going to take that and we're going to put it in y equals mx plus b along with the other things we know. And so for the last time, I'm going to do some color coding. So there's my, oops, that did not look good. All right, we're going to do that. That goes right here. I know that red is my slope. That goes right there. And then we will do, we'll stick with our magenta for y. That goes right here. All right, now you just plug your stuff in. So 6, ooh, it looks nice, but it's confusing. All right, so we have 6, because that's my y term, is equal to 4, that's my new slope. times x, which is 2. And you know what? I highlighted the wrong. I should probably unhighlight this because we don't need that anymore. So 4 times 2, and then plus b. Because I want to find b, so I can write this finished equation. So we have 6 equals 8 plus b. We're going to subtract 8 from both sides. I'm going to do that using the horizontal method. And then these 8's cancel. Then you have negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2 equals b. So now my new equation, all right, so my finished equation is going to be y is equal to, take your new slope, which is 4x, and then my plus b is minus 2. All right, so y equals 4x minus 2. And then you can see clearly from this that it's a very different line, but you can see that the slope is the reciprocal of it, and it's the opposite sign. So it's the opposite reciprocal, which is what we want. So that's it, guys. Good luck with this, and I hope this helps.